And Lauren, I think we got a small group today, so I would say we could unmute people if you want, and we could kind of make this an interactive session today.
Definitely. To avoid a bunch of background noise, I will certainly, if you'd like to be unmuted and you have questions, you can just let me know in the chat and I will unmute you if that's all right with you, Spike. And then at the end, we can certainly unmute and just kind of have a discussion at that
Yeah,
point.
that's fine. Sure. There's a Q&A at the bottom right there in the chat, so you can ask your questions there as well. So
Yeah, definitely.
okay, great. Thanks. Well, I'll kick things off, and it's my job to kind of do the quick action introduction commercial, so to speak. I'm sure that everybody's aware of who we are, but we continue to grow our organization through organic growth and through acquisitions. So we've just recently made another acquisition, and we've added another Sage partner to our team. So happy to have those people on board and bring those customers on as well. So in terms of our geography, we are nationwide. However, most of our Sage business is done this side of the Mississippi. So we do have several locations. We have a location in North Carolina, as well as I think we closed our office actually in New York. So we really just have two brick and mortar locations, but those are pretty large offices. We have data centers in both of those locations where we are hosting customers' environments for them, and we have failover back and forth to each of those different data centers in our Charlotte office and in our Toledo office. So we can hit to the next screen, I think, and I think that'll explain a little bit more. But as we continue to grow, we continue to move up on the VAR list in terms of top 100 VARs. I think we're listed as under 20. I think we're listed as 19th. Lauren, we can't see the.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna
Okay.
say I didn't want to interrupt you. I was not sure
Is it
what.
not showing, guys?
It just shows Chris's name for some reason.
Oh, okay. Well, give me 1 second. Let's see.
Oh, it's Jacob running the controller. Well, we got to fix that if we're going to do a demo, right?
Right. All right, there you go.
Yeah. So this is.
Can you see that now?
Yeah, that's great, Jacob. Thanks. Hit the next screen if you can. Well, there's Jacob. He's our presenter today. So get a quick picture of him. But again, I think we're listed in several of the recognized in several of the publications across the construction industry. And I think we recently reached 19th in the top 100 VAR. So we got about 6,500 customers across our geography, and from a construction standpoint, we have about 20 consultants now spread out across the Midwest, we're now in the upper northeastern part of the country, as well as across the mid-Atlantic seaboard. So plenty of people to help cover our base. Let's go to the next screen there, and we'll kind of wrap things up and get on with business here. But for our construction division, obviously we are resellers of Sage 100 Contractor, Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate. We are actively involved in implementing Sage Intacct for the construction industry. That is a what we call a next gen product. It is Sage's new new product that they're developing. It is under development, but we have probably 15 customers currently running the Sage Intact product to varying degrees. So we're excited to move forward with that and have an option to move our legacy customers onto something new. Happy to answer any questions about that at the end. And then we are one of the top Sage estimating VARs in the country, and we have 3 very talented Sage estimating implementation specialist, database specialist on staff as well. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. Obviously, we are representatives of several third-party products, Timberline being one of, or TimberScan being one of those, and so I don't know if everybody's aware, but AvidXchange has purchased that product and brought it into their fold of products. Everything has been going very well with that acquisition. We're really happy that AvidXchange is on board to offer several other solutions. And one of those solutions is what Jacob's going to review today with you guys. In the past, TimberScan didn't really have a credit card reconciliation solution, so to speak, and they've worked with one of the acquisitions that they made, and they've developed a pretty nice product. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We won't be showing anything related to how that integrates with TimberScan today, but we will show you the features and functionalities of the credit card system. So Jacob, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll watch and take notes.
Chris.
You there, Jacob? I think we lost you.
He was a second ago.
We're batting 1,000 here.
Their receipts and then do some data entry, and I'll show you kind of what that looks like. And so if you'll just give me 1 second here, and I'll get my screen share on my phone going.
We missed a little bit of the first part of that, Jacob, but that's fine.
Oh, did I cut out?
Yeah, but that's all right. We'll just dive in.
Okay. Yeah, and so let me get my phone screen shared. It takes a little bit, so. Okay, and let me get this. $5,949.
So one of the things I think Jacob is loading up is the ability to show you guys how this might work from the people in the field, right, Jacob?
That's correct. All right, and can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Looks like a phone.
All right, so this is the mobile app, and it's called CCS 2.0 now, because they just revamped this app. And so it'll look something like this. Okay, so we have our different tiles here that do different things. Really, the main one that's going to be used and utilized is this one that says My Formed. The My Forms, you'll notice that it has a number 3. And with the CCS system, you're able to give your card holders access to these 3 forms. Now, these are the ones that are out of the box and that are typically used for the implementations that I've done with customers. So you can go a couple different ways with this. You can have a general ledger coding form and then a job cost coding form. If you want to maybe make it more simple for your user so that they just access one form, then they can use the both coding types, or from within the form they can choose whether it's going to be a direct expense GL, or if it needs to be job cost, so they can make that decision from within the form. Okay, so for this example that I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and select the job cost coding. All right. And then the first step is to click on the top option, which is card info. So here it'll allow me to enter in my date. It'll autofill to today's date. So if everyone, is, capturing these the day of as they're making their purchases like they should, then that date will already be pre-filled there. But they do have the option to change that if they need to. Okay. It'll autofill to whoever's logged in on that user. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and select my card holder. Okay, the vendor in this case, a little bit of terminology confusion here, but the vendor in this case will be where the purchase was made with that card. This isn't the actual vendor like your credit card company. This is the vendor of where the purchase was made. And so for this example, I'm just going to say Aktion, our amount, put $30. And you have a notes section where you can add, what exactly this purchase, what it was for. And then right here, we have our capture receipt. So I'm going to go ahead and click this, and I have a receipt here. It's a little bit wrinkled. Hopefully they're a little bit more legible when your card holders submit these. Okay. So I have that filled out. The next step, I'm going to go ahead and click next, and that's going to take me to my job coding. Okay. Now, as I'm filling this out, I will say I have worked with some customers where the card holders do know this information, and they can go in and enter what job it's for, enter what cost code it's for. I have some other customers that they say, hey, my card holders have no clue what this is supposed to be. And if that's the case, then with our relationship with the core development or Avid Exchange team, they are able to remove some of these fields and get it customized to the way that you want it to work. Okay, so just keep that in mind as I'm going through here. As I click on job here, you'll notice that it gives me this full job list. So since this is cloud-based, this is the job list that's pulling from TimberScan, which TimberScan is then pulling from your accounting system. So we're seeing that same job list that TimberScan uses implemented here within this app. I'm going to go ahead and select my job. And then there's my cost code list. If you want to restrict cost codes, that's another thing that the Avid Exchange team can do for us. Okay, they can have it filter out the cost codes, or maybe only have certain jobs or cost codes available for certain users. We can do all of that customization. Avid Exchange can make all of that happen. So I have all of my information entered in here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. Right, so it's going to submit. Submission started in the background, and if we just wait here a couple seconds, then it's going to show that it has been submitted. There it is. And so that receipt now has been uploaded. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop my screen share here, and I'm going to go into the CCS site. So you have this application that's going to be used, this mobile app for your card holders, and then you have a site that is going to be for what we call your admins. So the people that are actually going to be completing the reconciliation and matching these receipts up to the statement items. Okay, so there's two parts here. And let me go ahead and get that site pulled up really quick.
While you're doing that, Jacob, we had a quick question that came in regarding that. Is there a commitment field that can be added?
Yes, there can be. I've done a few implementations that we use equipment codes or equipment cost codes, different things like that. So yes, we can absolutely bring those in. Good question. Okay. All right. Okay, and here's the CCS site. And just to confirm, can we see this?
Yes.
Perfect. So you'll notice that these tiles that are visible here, these are the same tiles that I had visible from within my app for the user. And so that is one of the things you can do also, is toggle on and on toggle on and off these tiles for your card holders. So if there's some that they just don't need, then we can remove those for them. But let's take a look, and we're going to go here to where it says credit cards. And let's talk about how exactly this is going to work. So the first thing we have to do when we get started with this system is to go in and create a card supplier. because you know, not all companies just have one, you know, card. You could have multiple, and those could be issued out to multiple different users, and some might have some and some might have others. So first thing we have to do is set up a card supplier. And so if you click on this plus sign here, you know, you can enter in, you know, what exactly this is. If it's, you know, maybe a Home Depot card, we can select that, and then we can map it to the vendor that we're actually going to pay in our accounting system. We can list that here. All right. And so this is just some more kind of background into the setup. You know, what exactly the card is it a Visa, is it a MasterCard? And then on your statements, if you're familiar with how we get in our statements, it'll list the last 4 numbers or last 5 digits within that card to identify who exactly that card holder is. Okay, so you have that choice depending upon, you know, which type of card you have. And then this is where we upload and say, okay, this card supplier, we're going to you know, transpose this statement into a CSV or an XLS file, you know, every time we import it in. So this is kind of just setting up what we're going to do going forward, right? And which card we're going to use. Okay. Once we do that, I'm going to go to the section that says employee cards. And this is where I set up all of my card holders. Okay. So you'll notice here, I have Jacob Salazar. And right now, Jacob only has one credit card issued to him, and it's this Visa card. Okay. If there was another card that I needed to add it to him that Jacob does have, I'm going to go to this plus sign, and all of my card suppliers of that screen I just showed you where we set up our card suppliers will appear here. And so then I can just add that card supplier, put in what the last 4 digits of his card for that account is, and then that'll be set up so that now he can now capture receipts for that card supplier. Okay. So pretty easy setup with the card suppliers and the card holders, and this prevents, you know, a wide open list of like full vendors for your card holders. So that way, you know, nothing's getting confused. They're only entering receipts for the cards that they do have. Okay. Now let's talk about the receipt that I just submitted and how we upload a statement. Okay. So with our statements, as I said before, we're going to want to get our statements in, and usually they're downloadable through the credit card sites, and we can get those downloaded as CSVs or XLS. Those are the main two that this system is compatible with. But we're going to go here to statements, and I have quite a few statements here on this demo site. But the way this works is that we're going to enter in the beginning and ending date of our statement here. And this is actually a very important piece because this is how the system knows, and it's only going to bring in receipts for that are dated within this range here. So if I enter in you know, this statement that I'm about to upload is and it is from a year ago, so bear with me, but it's within the April month. Okay, it's not holding my there we go. Sorry, guys, I had my number locks on. There we go. And the beginning and ending balance, you can put this in here if you want to, but you can also leave that blank. And then again, here ties in the card supplier. So we can select which card supplier this statement is for. And then we can select our files that we want to import. So I'm going to use this one here. It says uploaded successfully. So now I can bring that in. Okay, so I'm going to use a statement that I've already created here, and it's this one here. And so here on the left, I kept it pretty simple. This is a pretty small statement, but on this statement, these are my statement items that it brought in. And over here are the receipts that have been captured in and that are waiting to be matched and reconciled. Okay. And again, that just shows the importance of those dates, that date range of the statement, because I have a lot more receipts in the system, but with that date range, it only gave me the ones that fit that date range. All right. Now, the matching process this is the easy part of you know, implementing the software, is because all I have to do is mark these statement items over here, mark these receipts here, and there's a magic wand icon here It's called a reconcile. So what it's going to do is pull in and see what matches, and this matches by the date. Okay, so it's looking at the transaction date and then the date of that the receipt, that the purchase was made. Okay, because that was part of the entry on the receipt, right? It's looking at the amount, and it's also looking at the card holder. So the last 4 digits on the setup is a very important part, because that's how it's going to know, okay, this transaction was made by this person and we need to match it up to that receipt. Okay, so it made 2 matches. You notice that my receipt side got a little bit smaller. And so now I have 3 items that are still, I don't have a match for as of right now. Okay. What's nice about this system is that you don't have to rely on the auto reconcile. Maybe somebody made a typo on their entry, right? And if we look here on our Exxon, I have a statement item here, and the amount is $35. On the receipt I just entered, the cardholder entered it in as $30. So what you can do in the system is, if we click on this icon here, I can actually edit their entry, and I can manually change this if I need to. Okay, and that's what I'll do here. And it looks like the date was entered wrong as well, so I can change that if I need to, and then I can hit save. Okay, and it'll update that information. All right. One of the things you can also do, you don't have to rely on the auto reconcile if you need to. I can mark this item here, and I can manually match those 2. Okay. So if there's something off, if there's an amount that's wrong, or if we just don't have time to go through and make those corrections, we can manually reconcile these if we need to. Okay. Now your options from here on this side of the receipts, you can very quickly view the actual image itself if you click on this paperclip. All right. This is where I made that change, where I could see the info. And if we just want to very quickly just see kind of the coding and what was applied to this receipt, then we can click on the eyeball there, and it'll show us all of that within one window. Okay. Now, what is happening to what has been reconciled so far? Okay, because I have had some that I've matched already. If we go up here to where it says statement details, okay, this is where it has, my variance amount and things like that. I can see the full, the items that were in my statement, which is item imported. I can see how many I have reconciled here, the total amount, the reconciled amount, and then how much I have remaining. So you can keep track of these totals from here. But all in all, once we have a completed statement, we have, our items reconciled matches our items imported. Then the final step here is to click on our transfer to TimberScan. And so what's going to happen is that it's going to create an invoice that's going to be pushed into TimberScan through something that's called a TimberScan Connect. It's a configuration that's done in the background by the AvidXchange team. And it's going to produce an invoice that we can now pay. Now let's talk about what that invoice is going to look like and what our different options are there. So you have 2 options. One is it's called a receipt style. And what that means is that it's going to produce an invoice for each and every receipt that is brought in to the system. So for every transaction in the statement, it's going to produce an invoice. Now, if your volume is really high and you don't want to have one invoice, because let's think about it. If you have on average 300 transactions through credit cards every month, and if we choose to do receipt style, that's 300 invoices that are in your workflow that could potentially have to be approved by multiple people. Sometimes that's a little bit too much for some customers. And if that's the case, then you have another option, which is called the statement style. Now I can show you what the statement style will look like. This up really quick. So the statement style, what that's going to do, instead of having one invoice per receipt or per transaction, it's going to make an invoice for the entire statement. So it's basically going to be an invoice with multiple lines of coding per each statement. Okay. And so a lot of customers prefer to do that instead. And where the receipt images tie in is that it'll look something like this. It'll produce this image. It has each of our transactions with their coding, has all the detailed report of the cardholder. And if you're familiar with TimberScan, basically what this is going to do, it's going to attach all of those receipt images that we captured, that our cardholders captured and that we just matched up. It's going to basically just kind of staple all of these to the back of this invoice right here. All right, and I can't show you that here because that would be something that's going to be in TimberScan. Okay, if you already attach backup documents and things like that, it'll look just like that, but it'll be with receipts. Okay, so those are your two options when it comes to how you want to actually process these invoices in your system. Now, let's talk about workflows and approvals and different things like that. So with that TS Connect configuration of how we, get this invoice, all this work that we're doing within the CCS system, bringing it into TimberScan, the AvidXchange team can help us so that as soon as we transfer, maybe you don't want this to go to, your data entry team because all the work's already been done, right? The part of the configuration with that TS Connect is we can have it, go straight into those workflows and it just goes straight into approving. Okay. The system can do that as well. So I have some customers that they want it to go to data entry to maybe just look over it or maybe add some things here or there. But you can also have this go straight into the approval phase and it'll route that out based on the criteria that's entered. Okay. I have also had a couple instances with customers where, they want to complete all the coding from within TimberScan. So within CCS, all we're doing bare minimum. We're basically just capturing the receipt, entering in the key data like the date and the transaction amount, things like that. And we're bringing it into TimberScan completely blank where our data entry team will look at this image and now code it themselves. You can do that as well. So there's a workflow for everybody, no matter what kind of scenario that you have going on in your company, and it makes the system a great fit for that. Okay.
Yeah, Jacob, real quick, you could have the guys in the field just code it to the job because they know what the job is. Maybe they don't know what cost code to put it to, so that coding could be finished up in-house.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Okay. And so that about wraps up the demonstration today. Pretty everybody gets caught up in the matching process, right? Of matching the receipts to the transactions in the statement. You'll notice that that's the easiest part of this whole process here, and this system makes that a breeze. And so then you can just focus more on the workflows, capturing the receipts. You'll see a dramatic increase in efficiency in how those are captured because it's a nightmare to have to keep up, have your cardholders keep up with the hard copies of the receipts and turn those in, and then you have to do one by one matching. So this drives efficiencies tremendously. And like I said, with the customization that the AvidXchange team helps us with, we're able to get this and tweak it so that it conforms to your company and your workflow. Okay.
Yeah,
All
good,
right.
good, Jacob. I think we should open it up. Lauren, any questions in the queue right now?
Yeah, I'm actually I'm unmuting Jeff right now, and I can probably do that for Stuart as well. But Jeff had a couple questions, so go for it, Jeff.
Sure.
You there, Jeff? I will ask his question for him in case he's walked away from his computer or something. He was asking, he said, I assume you look at the image to verify any differences?
Yes.
You certainly could do that, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You can look at the image, to find any discrepancies or anything like that. if I go back to the site here, really what helps you as far as, checks and balances is going to be this part right here, the statement details. You'll be able to track your amounts, and if there's anything left over, I mean, you're going to see that from here and be able to revert back. But you will have the comfort of knowing it's not going to auto reconcile anything that isn't completely matched up as far as amounts or anything like that.
Yeah, I think the question there is, how do I determine what the right amount is, and if I look at the receipt, I'll know that the guy keyed in the dollar amount wrong or something like that. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys hear me now?
Yes, Jeff.
Okay, sorry about that. I guess I had my headset on mute, didn't realize it. So thanks for answering that one. I guess it's interesting that you guys are, because I was actually talking to somebody else at Aktion regarding the credit card process. And the biggest thing that we are trying to figure out is we do a lot of things that either can go into job cost or our general ledger type. But if we have a situation where, let's just say we have a $10,000 order for a project and we have to put a $5,000 deposit down via credit card, one of the things we were trying to figure out is how do we show that the $5,000 was paid via credit card to that vendor in our general ledger system? Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's
this process help that.
So I think what you would need to do is you would need to do receipt style there. And I get what you're saying, because this is the catch-22. And what we typically would do is put the vendor name right into the description, so that when it hits your general ledger, you'll have that detail in the GL. You won't be able to send that to the AP vendor that way, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. So if, let's just say, brand new vendor, I got Lauren O'Hara, right, as the vendor. I was trying to, because we have commitments, and if we showed the commitment is 10,000, and then it would show in our AP distribution saying in a history, say, okay, the first 5,000 was paid via credit card, so we would only owe them a max of 5,000. That's what I'm trying to figure out how we could do that.
Okay. Let's take that down as a action item to review.
Sure.
I think what you might be able to do there, and correct, and I need to verify this though, is that when you put that $5,000 in, you can identify the actual vendor that it goes to. Typically though, if you're going to pay, you're typically going to pay the credit card company, right, and not the vendor directly for that.
Right, that's what I'm saying, because the credit card in essence is already paying the vendor, and so then I have to pay the credit card company. But what I'm trying to eliminate the risk of the vendor then saying, hey, you actually owe me $10,000. Well, no, I paid the first 5,000 via credit card, but right now it shows up in our credit card vendor, not in the actual vendor that we incur the charges with.
Right, and I think if we do receipt style, one of the processes that you'll need to do there, actually, there's a second step where you have to do I'd hate to call it a fake check run, but that's basically what it is, to a fake bank account. Okay, and that would record the payment against that vendor, and then you would reconcile that out to the statement, and then just pay the statement. So there is a process for doing that. If you go receipt style, there's an extra step that you have to do. So let's take that down, Jacob, as an action item to verify that that's gonna take care of what he's asking for.
Okay.
Thanks.
Is there anything else, Lauren? Any other ones?
I don't see anything else. You guys are both unmuted, so if you have any other questions or areas that you'd like to see still, then just holler. Right? Otherwise, we can wrap it up here in the next minute or so.
I didn't know if anybody else wanted to ask questions, so I've got a couple more, but I wanted to give anybody else the opportunity.
I'm good.
Okay. I assume there's a desktop version too, besides a mobile.
Yes, so that's what we're seeing here. The mobile where I submitted the receipts, you can do that same function from here. Yes, so you'll notice that as I click here, those are those same 3 forms there. And let me show you a little bit of the user setup. If I go here to Jacob Salazar's user here, I have to add which forms I want that user to be able to access. So here's my available forms. I can go in and say, okay, this person, they're just going to be doing job costing. I can just add that one form to their user, and that's all they're going to see. So it is nice to have that control there. That way, a certain user doesn't have, more access than they need. Also, you control which jobs they have access to as well with those forms. So you'll notice here on this admin user, I have forms, but then I also have jobs. So if you want to only have certain jobs, assigned jobs for that particular user, you can monitor that as well. The only thing is that when new jobs are created, you'll have to come in here and manually add those. What most companies do, they'll just assign all jobs, and then any new jobs that are added will just be automatically, assigned to that user as well, as those are created. So
Will
even
any of that information be pulled from TimberScan as it is, because we have routing rules in
Yes.
TimberScan for different people?
Yeah, all that. Once we do that transfer into TimberScan, it's going to recognize all that information. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because we have people. We have like a centralized person who, or should I say, kind of like our contract administrator who handles a lot of the centralized purchasing, and we have to make deposits. So that's why I wanted to make sure that there was something that, as she gets, the receipts, she can just simply, upload them.
Yes.
Okay. And it sounds like to me the starting point for all these is what I thought you set up each, I guess, credit card, if you will, vendor. So like we have a Chase card. So, and then we have 15, employees who have credit cards, but we would just download the statement each month and upload that, and then that would parse out everything based upon the individual's identifier.
Yes. And what's nice about the system that we kind of, eventually try to get to, with companies that are using the system is that, since you have control of, what information you're downloading from the site, you don't have to just do this monthly. I mean, you can do this on a weekly basis. So that way, you're working with less volume as far as the receipts that you're matching. So that's also something to consider and keep in mind as well. It's not something that, you certainly can do it monthly if you want, but, imagine if you could just do this weekly, download those set of transactions from the site and kind of keep your load a little bit smaller.
I think that's all I got for right now.
All right.
And Lauren, you said you were going to send this because there's a couple other people in my company I'd like to have to view this. So
Yeah, definitely. I'll send the recording later today, probably.
okay. And if you don't mind, I'd like to talk further about this, next step, just so we can see what
Underpayment matchup kind of thing. Yeah, we'll do some research on that, Jeff, and we'll get back to you.
Oh, no, that's fine. And in addition, I'd like to keep talking about this. We may want to look into this into further. So that's why I would like to.
Oh yeah. Yep, definitely. Yeah, let us know, and we can set up a specific demo just for your team if you'd like.
Great. Just let me know who I should be talking to.
I'll when I send you the recording, Jeff, I'll include Jacob as well, so that you guys can continue that conversation.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome.
Right.
I think
Okay.
that's it.
Thanks for attending, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks very
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.